Thank you for joining Uniting the Cults. This is another episode of Why is Everybody Stupid? This one's about why do you believe in jinn? So I'm trying to talk to the people that do believe in jinn. I'm trying to get them to think a little bit independent of talking to me. They just need some questions in their heads. What rival theories did you consider? This really makes sense in the context of every single time that they thought they experienced a jinn, what are the other theories that they also considered? This is some scientific thinking, It's, um, let's see. How did you rule out the other theories? Because you supposedly, you landed on the jinn theory. What was the reasoning that you gave or that you used to rule out the other theories? This post is for anybody who believes in jinn, demons, miracle claims, prophecies, signs of end times, God, even. So this person says, I can answer how I managed to believe in jinn at one point since I don't know anymore. Dr. Soren Tumenians equated jinns with microbes in 1934. I came to the same conclusion on my own because of these considerations. The name jinn comes from the root JNN, jinn, that is related to hidden, which applies to microbes. Microbes are maybe hidden without a microscope. Jinns are described as talking in the Quran, but so are ants, hands, feet. So the speech of jinn could be ignored as something understandable to God, but not to humans. Okay. In some hadith, the food of jinns is leftover bones and dung. Bacteria can live off of organic waste. In the Quran, except for Iblis, jinn are always invoked in the collective, sometimes said to be in a nefar or traveling group. Microbes also spread in groups. Jinn are said to affect humans, who are thus said to become majnoon, crazy. Some microbes can affect human behavior by infecting human brains, nervous system. The bacteria in your gut produce neurotransmitters and can affect your brain through the gut-brain connection. Both the Quran and Hadith claim Quran Qarins, I don't know what a Qarin is, or are always attached to humans, making suggestions are said to be shaitan's jinns. Some hadith describe possession by jinn being particularly likely when traveling by and through ruins. Archaeological ruins and relics stolen from those sites often harbor microbes that are not accustomed to human environment but could evolve very fast to become pathogenic towards humans. And describes poets being particularly likely to be Majnun, crazy, because of traveling through valleys. Traveling does pose the risk of contracting diseases borne by microorganisms. My theory is that people initially invented the concept of jinn and demon to explain certain diseases that they noticed occurring in correlation with certain activities and places. That makes sense. The worship of jinns by humans mentioned in the Quran could refer to some rituals they found worked in decreasing the risk of infection by those jinn when they were forced to perform those associated activities or go to those places. Even though the concept of jinn may have began as an attempt to explain reality, at some point the endeavor was compromised by imaginative lore that had nothing to do with reality. For example, jinn being made with fire, spying on angels in the sky, and sharing their findings with, I don't know that word, being chased away by stars in the sky while doing so, all of which are found in the Quran but do not match the profile of microorganisms. The speech of jinn in the Quran cannot be explained away by Allah understands them, since bacteria do not have complex nervous system that can give rise to even consciousness, let alone complex mental states and beliefs about God as described in the Quran. This is a very good little comment there. Probably worth its own post. Let's see. That's a joke. So they're saying, I don't believe in jinn. They're not specific to Islam. Even remote tribes believe in supernatural spirits and shit like that. I have read some interesting materials in this regard, considering that we can only see a tiny fraction of visible light spectrum. There are things we cannot see through our naked eyes, and I think this is where these entities, jinns, demons, are, whatever you call them. So it looks like this person believes it. I remember reading or watching a psychiatrist, unfortunately I can't remember his name, who said there are entities that mess up people's mind in a mental hospital that he worked. He managed to communicate with these entities who told him to stay away from the patient and even attempted to kill him via this patient. He said that these entities live off human emotions. Popular out-of-body experiencer Robert Monroe also spoke about unseen entities that consume human emotions, or loosh, as he called it. He claimed to see such entities when he was out of his physical body. I also have read a book by psychiatrist Dr. Richard Gallagher, who documents his experience working with Catholic exorcists. I think he believes a human can be possessed by spirit to do evil things, and things cannot be explained by our current understanding of physics. So this person replies to that person, God of the gaps argument. I think more and more mental illnesses are now understood as chemical imbalance. Basically, a naturalistic explanation is discovered. To add jinns to our gaps in understanding the mind and mental illness is unfounded and most likely will turn out to be false. Also, they are said to consume bones, possess minds, communicate with people, steal secrets from the heavens, get struck by stars, but yet they evade all microscopes, telescopes, x-rays, thermal cameras. Not only that, jinn apparently only possess people in the Islamic world, or like the Arab world. It doesn't happen in the West. Or let me rephrase, it doesn't happen to Westerners, but it does happen to let's say Arabs who were born and raised in the Arab world and then moved to the West. So I say here, I noticed that you didn't answer the questions in the post. You only answered the title. What rival theories did you consider? How did you rule out those rival theories? What were the explanations you used? They say, forgive if this sounds like incoherent ramblings, because I believe in sort of simulation theory. These entities might be an AI or extraterrestrials. In our culture, before Islam, we did not believe in jinns. We believe in orange. I wonder if this is a spelling problem. Or literally meaning hidden people or whistling people. People reported gone missing only to be found out later that said they went to a Bunyan village and married with one of its kind. These Bunyan people are said to have supernatural powers and can help people. In other cultures, they have elves, fairies, and diva. Jinns are specific to the Arab Muslim culture. I think one Western scholar may be Professor Diana Pasulka, who suggests these entities changes according to one belief. They may become alien if you believe so, or angels. So it is sort of AI or extraterrestrial beings. I don't know what he's saying. So I say, but you're just explaining the jinn theory rather than explaining the rival theories, and the explanation is ruling out the rival theories. Yeah, I don't know what to do in these kind of cases. I have no idea what the hell they said. I don't think they were even trying to answer my questions. So I don't know why I write this long comment as if it is an answer to my questions. I want to talk about the logic that scientists use to deal with superstitions like jinn. So this is an older post. I already made a video about this, but it's worth touching on a little bit in the context of specifically this video about jinn. So in science, there's this concept of falsifiability. A scientific theory needs to be falsifiable, otherwise we can't do anything with it. We can't do science on it. We can't do an experiment on it. So this is how it works. A falsifiable theory is one that presents itself as an empirical claim, meaning that it affects nature and we can sense it with one of our five senses. It does make empirical predictions, and that means it's possible for empirical evidence to contradict the prediction. It's possible for us to make an experiment and see if the prediction happens, and then rule it out if it doesn't. Falsify it. Falsifiability is what we're talking about here. So examples: Newton's theory of gravity, germ theory, genetic evolution theory. So an unfalsifiable theory is a theory that, like the falsifiable one, presents itself as an empirical claim, meaning that it affects nature, but it does not make empirical predictions. So it's impossible for empirical evidence to contradict the prediction. We can't make an experiment. Examples: jinn. So part of the jinn concept is, like, if you ever hear anyone ask, well, how come we don't see jinn? And they say, well, they don't want you to see them, so they like run away. It breaks this. That means you can't make a prediction, or that means it doesn't make a prediction. The theory of jinn doesn't predict anything. It doesn't predict anything that we can see if that thing actually happens. We can't make an experiment. Now, what do we do with these things in science? We throw it away right away from the start. It's trash. It's no different than any mythological idea from ancient Greece. All of it, junk. This concept was explained and coined by the philosopher Karl Popper. He was trying to figure out the difference between science and pseudoscience. I think another post worth talking about is this one here. Muslims often make the correlation is causation mistake. So let me first explain how it works. Someone sees two things happen together, correlation, and then they decide that one of them caused the other one. And they're not using any reasoning, or there's no stated reasoning. They're kind of just using their intuition. So an example, I ate pizza and then I got sick right after that. That means the pizza made me sick. Notice how the person didn't consider other possible explanations, like maybe they ate something earlier in the day and that's what made them sick. Or maybe they're sick from pregnancy. There are many, many possible explanations. In the case of jinn, so they have this concept that jinn are real, and then they see something happen weird that they don't have an explanation about, and they jump to the conclusion that it is jinn. But they're doing the same mistake here, as in, like, they're not explaining the mechanism by which it works, and they're also not considering other possible theories to figure out which one is the right one. They're just jumping to the conclusion of the one they already know. Other ways Muslims do this, I've heard these. I was unable to sleep, and then I listened to the Quran, and then I slept, and therefore Islam is true. It's ignoring all the flaws in Islam, and it's not ignoring any possible theories that could explain why they fell asleep, were able to fall asleep. Notice there's no explanation about the cause and effect relationships. There's no attempt to philosophically criticize anything, and there's no attempt to try to empirically test the theory. All right, that's enough for this video.